Got an airplane flying over it.
Yeah. Of course, at the wrong time.
Mm-hmm.
Come alive, two ex-players in the studio, ready to thrive, friends and fans, uniting with the truth, sharing the passion, yeah, that's our proof. Check to the highlights, where dreams come alive, two ex-players in the studio, ready to thrive, friends and fans, united with the truth, sharing the passion, yeah, that's our proof. We treasure the legends, those who paved our way, in every single chapter, we're here to stay, breaking down plays, had a
Hello, everybody. Happy New Year. This is Lonnie Watson with the Chasing the Highlights podcast, along with my co-host Tony Robinson. We took a few weeks off to enjoy time with our families, kind of just to let the NFL season kind of shake out a little bit. And I know Tony, you went away on vacation and things that of that nature too. So, how's everything going? Happy New Year to you, buddy.
Happy New Year. Yeah, things are great. Just happy to be back. Get ready for these playoff, these wild card games this weekend. I can't wait.
Yeah, thanks, man. And even though our teams, the Commanders and the Cleveland Browns, aren't there, we are true fans. I enjoy watching all the football games, every week on Red Zone and kind of zero in on the hot games, even when my team's not winning. And so hopefully we've brought you guys some pretty good content this year, last year in 2025, and hopefully to kind of build on that again in 2026. Well, let's get right into it. We're going to be talking about a little bit of week 18, some of the things that have happened over the last couple of days since the season, regular season ended. And then also we're going to be talking about the playoff games coming up on Wild Card weekend here in a few days. Week 18 of the 2025 NFL regular season concluded last weekend, finalizing the playoff bracket and crowning the division winners. The key highlights include the Seattle Seahawks and the Denver Broncos clinching the number one seed in their respective conferences. The playoff picture and the standings, the AFC number one seed is obviously the Denver Broncos. They secured the top spot in the first round bye after a 19-3 victory over the Chargers. The NFC conference, the number one seed is the Seattle Seahawks, who clinched the top seed, and the NFC West by defeating the San Francisco 49ers 13-3. And that defense of the Seattle Seahawks is just absolutely superb in that game. I watched that game also. The division champions also was crowned last weekend. The AFC North, the Pittsburgh Steelers won the division with a 26-24 win over the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday Night Football in dramatic fashion. Aaron Rodgers got his win. It looked bleak there at the end, but boy, a missed field goal just kind of broke everybody's hearts if you're a Ravens fan. NFC South, the Carolina Panthers secured the division title with a 3-division tie. We had the South winner. The Falcons won the game, and then that put the Carolinas in. It was a 3-way tie. All the teams were 8-9 in that division. However, because of the tiebreakers, the Carolina Panthers get to go to the playoffs and win that division. The AFC South, the Jacksonville Jaguars took the crown after a 41-7 blowout win of the Titans, and that kind of gets us up to speed a little bit with the playoff picture of last week's games. But we kind of have to go back just a little bit to talk about a few of these games that happened. And one of the games that that was kind of crazy that we're going to have to kind of talk about is this game here. I mean, 26 to 24. Aaron Rodgers pulls off the win in this game, and Tony, I know you watched this game, and it was a wild one. I mean, Aaron Rodgers comes back, we finally saw Jackson in the fourth quarter put his cape on, right? And then we saw the former MVP, a 42-year-old quarterback, when Aaron Rodgers with 2:25 left, come back down in a minute 25 seconds. He scores a touchdown. He does kind of like his little Superman jump or whatever, that little jump he does at the end, that little thing there he does. I mean, he's 42 years old, but he still got up to do that. And then Lamar Jackson said, man, you know what? You forgot who I was too. He comes back down and throws the ball to Likely at like the 26 or 27-yard line to set up a game-winning field goal. And then all of a sudden, the rookie Loop took everybody for a loop, right? And he misses the damn field goal. I mean, everybody was screaming in my house, and we couldn't believe it. And I'm jumping up and down like this was my team. And it was a really dramatic finish, and the best game, probably of the weekend that I actually saw in the last game of the season. So, Tony, looking at this game, and obviously since the Cleveland Browns is in this division, did you have a horse in the race in this division? I kind of wanted Mike Tomlin to win, because all the heat that he's been taking with picking Aaron Rodgers and how they were able to win. The priest came on the field before the game and was priesting the end zone, and that's actually the end zone that he missed the field goal in. And but what did you think about this game overall, when you really look at it?
Well, it was good to see Lamar Jackson go back in his bag, because he's been missing for the whole season, in my opinion. I feel like he's been injured. He had a lot of injuries and stuff like that. And then we got to see like flashes of his the true, put the cape on, let's put this on my back. And that catch by Likely, man, he went up and got that ball, because it could have been picked off. It was a guy right behind him, and he went.
Well, Ramsey was trying to knock it out. Ramsey, Ramsey came over the top, and I think Ramsey went for the pick instead of trying to knock it away. And I think that was the big thing on when I saw that part of it. But boy.
Yeah, but when you look at that Steelers side, I mean, looking at Rodgers, what he's doing, like you said, 42 years old, just going in his bag, going back into his like MVP days. He just showing up to, like, without your top receiver going in there and doing what you did. You making wine out of water. I mean, I don't want to compare him to
water out of wine,
whatever
berries out of wine, whatever.
I don't want to compare him to anybody, the higher whatever. But he came in there and did his thing, and hats off to him. I think once he gets his top receiver back, they gonna do pretty well in the playoffs. I mean, I'm worried about this team, but I wanted Baltimore to win, because they're the old Browns. Even though they stole our team,
you should be mad. You should be mad because of that.
Yeah, we beat the Steelers so they can have a chance to go to the playoffs, but it didn't work out.
But yeah, that was a great game. I thought that what Tomlin did at the end, kind of like the and with the kiss and all that, he was kind of like whatever, right? Yeah. But good to see him get in, and the Cleveland. I mean, the Steelers fans have been tough on the Steelers this year, and rightfully so, because and my big question would probably be to you, Tony, is does he have to really win this game to get kind of like the fans off his back, because we know that he hasn't won a game in a long time in the playoffs, talking about Tomlin, does he have to really win this game to, with the Texans?
It's going to be a tough game. The Texans are playing lights out defensively and stuff like that. Offense is okay. It's, they rested some players in week 18 so they can get ready for the playoffs. But if they're on, if Houston's on, I don't know. It's going to be tough for the Steelers, but once they get their receiver back in Pittsburgh, I feel like they have a shot. It's hard to stop him and then stop the running game and stuff like that. But I feel like, with the experience from Rodgers, he has a chance. It's always a chance with Rodgers. But I feel like if they don't win this game, though, they're going to be calling for him. They've been calling for him for the last 3 years now. So it's like I feel like he kind of needs to win, but I know how the Rooney family, they're very loyal to their coaches. They pretty much give the coach the option to want to leave. You know, they usually stay with them as long as possible and stuff like that. And so I don't think it's gonna be a factor if he loses, but he should win to better his case. You know,
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah,
So,
he should. Yeah. So hello from Russia. You know, if you're
yeah.
watching from Russia, thanks for chiming in and watching the Chasing the Highlights podcast here in the States. So yeah, and you know, so that game was an awesome game, and you know, this game was kind of crazy too. I did watch some of this game because it had implications. If the Saints won the game, then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who's won the AFC, the NFC South, you know, 3 or 4 years in a row. And I was really pulling for the Atlanta Falcons. And the Atlanta Falcons, you know, they had an up and down season, but they were 8-9, so they did tie for the division. And you know, obviously, you know, they did fire Raheem Morris yesterday, even having that strong ending to the season that they had with a few wins in a row with Kirk Cousins at quarterback, and a lot of some of the injuries that they had, they still came through at the end. But you know, Raheem Morris is still out there in Atlanta, so I thought that was a little bit of a shock to me to see that. But you know, it is what it is on that end, and they've got a lot of changes, and obviously, you know, their GM is out also, and then they're talking about Matt Ryan going in as a top executive there in Atlanta. So that was kind of surprising to me. I thought Morris has done enough, Tony, to keep his job.
Yeah, he definitely did. I feel like, you know, with certain coaches, I'm not gonna get into the politics of it and like, you know, how we talk about the other stuff, but it kind of comes to like, you know, I feel like they had a good squad pretty much the whole season, but then they had injuries at the wrong times. And having an injury to your top quarterback, you know, or your starting quarterback, and like going in and out, then you got the other quarterback coming in to try to like whatever. But I don't know.
Yeah, you mean
It's just
Kirk Cousins? I mean, you know, Kirk Cousins was supposed to be his job from day one anyway. And then of course, you know, Penix. They get Penix, and then they make the change, and then he gets hurt, and Kirk Cousins comes in as the veteran that he is and bails them out pretty much the last 4 or 5, like 5 or 6 games of the season.
Yeah, I think that they saw that Penix wasn't what they thought they were, and he started them, I guess, and like how the season ended. But I mean, I don't know. I just feel like he's about to get a look at Tennessee right now. Tennessee wants to bring him in for an interview. So I feel like, you know, he's still a good coach. I feel like it just didn't work out when you have Matty Ice coming in there. You know, you kind of have to. New regime has to come in with that. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of hard to. I think
he doesn't. Well, Matty Ice doesn't have any. I mean, he's my guy from Boston College. You know, my brother went to Boston College. He didn't play with Matt Ryan. He played with Matt Hasselbeck. But I really, you know, I don't know what kind of executive things that he got going on to kind of just get rid of the whole regime now and then put a new executive in and all that.
They got rid of somebody else too. It wasn't just the GM. It was like the CEO or something like that. They fired him too.
McKay, was it McKay?
Something like that.
I mean, so there's a whole overhaul done that's going on in Atlanta, and you know, man, they got a lot of talent on that team. So it could be an attractive job for someone there to get that job. Well, maybe it's possible, right? Anything is possible.
Kirk Cousins.
Yeah. And, you know, I got to talk about, you know, the Cleveland Browns ending strong, too, at the end of the season and what they were able to do 20-18 over the Bengals. And, you know, you know, that's your team. You know, Shadur Sanders came in. He's got a couple of wins under his belt, signature win against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then he gets the win here. Not quite sure he played well, but that defense was on fire. And of course, you got Garrett now that is on top of the world, right? He's on top of the world. New single season sack record for your guy, Myles Garrett, 23 sacks. Right. He's on top of the world, man. He's the king. And so I'll let you kind of talk about that and what that kind of means to the Cleveland Browns organization and just how you've been able to see him over the last 8 or 9 seasons just progress into getting the sack record.
Yeah, it means a lot because he's been on like the worst of the worst teams that we've had in Cleveland, and he still shows up and with his lunch pail and like coming and playing like he's playing for a championship. This guy is like a franchise player. Like with him, there's some speculation that they may trade him to like the Raiders to get picks, and I'm like, they're still chasing a quarterback. I think that's what somebody put that out there, but I don't believe it's true. I feel like he wants to be a Cleveland Brown, but he wants to. I want to keep him until he wants to retire and go into the Hall of Fame first ballot. But you never know the business of the NFL. You never know what can happen. But this sack record is a big feat, and he got it in less snaps. So all these people coming into the comments section saying, "Oh, Jared Allen won it or whatever first." So what I'm like, what are you talking about? I hear a lot of stuff, and they talk, try to diminish his feat, like what he did, and right, but he got it in 400 and something snaps, and the next closest person is like 100 and something snaps away from him, like Strahan. So I think it's greatness right there. So he's first ballot Hall of Famer in my book. So
yeah, there's no doubt about that. Nobody's going to deny that. Doing what he's done, you wonder him being on a team that a team that is a losing team. I like to see him go get a ring, but he made his choice. He took the money over $40 million a year. $40 million a year. He took the money over winning, because he know that he could have went to a team last year, got paid $40 million, and probably a team that could win. But he decided to stay in Cleveland, and so now he's got a no trade clause, I believe, too. And so I think that's going to be an interesting thing to see how that pans out over the year. But we also had a couple other things happen in Cleveland. Just yesterday, they decided that they wanted to do what? Part ways with head coach Kevin Stefanski in Cleveland, and a lot of people are liking this move, and I kind of like it too. Two-time coach of the year for the Cleveland Browns, but over the last few seasons he hasn't been able to get it done, and this with the quarterback carousel and the controversy of all those different things, kind of took its toll. I'm really surprised that they actually kept the GM of the Cleveland Browns, but we now know that there's a search now, probably for a quarterback and a head coach in Cleveland. So what do you got to say about that? Tony, I know that we had an in-depth discussion about this, about the coaching search. Do you agree with the call of getting rid of Stefanski?
Oh, I do. But to get back to what you just said, that you're surprised that the GM was able to stay on. But I found out that something in one of the groups that I'm in. They said that he put it in a way like the guy that they fired before was like the executive of the Browns, like calling all the shots, right? And how the owner said the reason why AB kept his job, right? So the way he painted it was like the guy that they fired, I forgot his name, but it begins with a P, but they fired him, and he was probably making all the decisions. And then once AB was able to make decisions, he got draft picks, he made some trades and stuff like that. That's why they're giving him a higher position, because he did all these things when the other guy got fired. And that's the reason why they kept him over, and got rid of Stefanski, because I feel like Stefanski and the other guy that they fired was in cahoots together to pick Gabriel, because they made decisions together. I feel like Andrew Berry was out of the loop in this. I feel like that's what is starting to filter out when you see all the stuff that's coming up in the Browns groups that I'm in and stuff like that. But I don't know, it's all speculation. I feel like, but it has some relevance to it, because it seems kind of weird that they kept him. Usually they just do a clear regime wipeout or whatever, but they promoted him because of what he did in the draft. He brought in our 5 top players on our team right now. Junkins, all those guys, Fannin, Shador, just all the players that we have that are rookies, and our linebacker too. And it's like our future. He drafted all those guys. He traded for he traded a guy away and got another like all-pro cornerback from Jacksonville. So he did a lot of things, made a lot of moves that that looking at it, the owner was like, yeah, we got to keep you for the future and stuff like that, and give you a higher position so you can make all these decisions and stuff like that. So I
Yeah,
feel like
well, also Andrew Berry, now that we're talking about him, he said he did say what is a press conference, I want to say, acknowledge significant progress in Shador Sanders' mental and physical development, but stress he's a work in progress. Okay.
yeah.
Requiring further evaluation and commitment to the quarterback position, leaving his 2026 starting role open as the team explores internal or external options. Berry praised Sanders for playmaking, accuracy, and mobility, but emphasized the importance of solidifying the quarterback position for a sustainable success for the Cleveland Browns. And, a lot of the fans might not like that, but I think I said yesterday, Tony, in our conversation and just our overall, conversation just about the Cleveland Browns and kind of our pre-production meeting, right, that we had yesterday after not talking for a few weeks about the Cleveland Browns. I said to you that right now, I do not believe that the Cleveland Browns will make the playoffs next season with a quarterback that is currently on their roster. Okay, that means Dylan Gabriel, that means Shador Sanders, and that means with Watson too. Now, I do say with Watson, and I did say to you that I don't believe that if everything stays the same, that I don't think that Shador can beat out Watson next season. So when I was talking about in the podcast earlier this year, about 5 or 6 weeks ago, that it was important that Shador plays well because he doesn't have time. Okay, now that you see that what I was really saying is that he's only got a certain amount of time to put something on tape in order to be able to maybe either get traded or to convince the Cleveland Browns that he is the guy moving forward there. And right now, I don't think that he actually has done enough to do that, even winning, those games that he has won, those 4 games that he did win already.
I'm paraphrasing here, but I'm going to say, what did he say? He's like, what can happen if I had a full offseason to prepare? Because he didn't get a full offseason. He didn't get a full, any time with the ones during the whole season to half the season or whatever when he came in. So give him more time. Yeah, he's a work in progress. Most quarterbacks that came out this year are still a work in progress, even though some may have done better because, just how the circumstances went. But give him time. And if Watson beats him out, he beats him out. He still has a year to play and to come back and show that he can still play and lead this team. Talking about Watson, so if he does beat him out, okay, it gives Shador more time. But I still feel like giving Shador time during the offseason to actually learn and do different things and get with the new coach to learn the process and stuff like that. I mean, Watson and him are going to be there together. They're going to be learning together and stuff like that. But I feel like it'll be a quarterback competition. But even if Watson beats him out, yeah, he'll have more time to develop. I mean, but giving him this time, these 7 games where he went 4-3, even though people are saying he only went 3-4, he won 4 games out of 3, and Dylan Gabriel and Flacco only went 2-8. So he did play well, even though the defense did a lot more in these last games. But I feel like if he had more time, then he would have probably the record would probably been a little better. But
56.6 completion rate is very low for even a rookie to come in. I don't think overall, I think he had his ups and downs and he played well in certain spots. His accuracy wasn't that good. His decision making, as you see, 7 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. You're going to say, some of those balls were tipped, but some of those balls were just bad decisions too. So those are some bad decisions.
Now when they're on their chest and they're bouncing off to another defender, or they're getting tipped and up, it's those things you can't control. So
accuracy wasn't that good either at 56.6%. Most people are in the 65%.
They were dropping passes. It's a lot of drop passes from
their number
1 receiver.
I just don't think, and I'm just totally being objective here, and I don't have a horse in the race, and I love what Sanders did when he was at Jackson State, right? And I believe I told you I had a Facebook post that I said when he was at Jackson State that if he came out after Jackson State that I thought that he should be a top 2 or 3 pick. right? But we know how that got derailed, right? But looking at him right now, he definitely is a work in progress. And I'm looking at all the other, some of the other, like Tyler Shuck. I always can, Tyler Shuck right now, that played for the Saints. He was a second-round pick. He had 2,384 yards passing, 10 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 67.6 completion ratio, and he had a passer rating of 91.3 and a 5-4 record and nine starts. So I think that is a proper comparison. If you're saying Sanders was supposed to go number at least the first or second round, now you have a guy that actually went, and he didn't necessarily start right away either. Kind of like similar stats and everything too. So yeah, Tyler Shuck was better than Shedeur Sanders. Different situation too, right? But I thought Stefanski, being the experienced coach, remember they got a rookie coach over there in the Saints, and Tyler Shuck actually had a decent season, but they had an experienced guy there in Cleveland that really couldn't get it to help him get it together.
So the coach that's in New Orleans has a better offensive scheme. Our scheme is horrible.
Oh, I don't know about that.
No, he coached at Dallas, and when they played in Dallas, Dak had his best seasons. So he's not a like a fly by night coach. He came up through, he played at Boise State. He was a quarterback in the NFL. His offensive schemes is way better than what we have. So I'm
not willing to say that he's better than Stefanski.
I'm not saying. I'm talking about
coach of the year.
The scheme. The coach of the year is out the window because he hasn't been able to. He can't develop anybody. He hasn't developed any quarterback that he's had. I mean, I don't even think he developed Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins came out because he played for your team and went over to Minnesota, and he was already ready to play. But he can't develop any players. Like Cam Newton on his 4th and 1. He was talking about, he broke it down, looking at his whole career in Minnesota, Kevin Stefanski. Every position that he coached, he was there it was short-lived because he couldn't develop anybody. So they kept moving him up in the organization where he was at. And then all of a sudden becomes a quarterback or an offensive guru where he couldn't even develop anybody. It's kind of weird. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, we got to move on, but I mean, that to me, I think that the Cleveland Browns got a lot of work to do. Their quarterback situation is going to be very interesting this offseason, in hearing that they've got 2 number 1 draft picks. And there could be some quarterbacks that they could be looking at in the draft, and they can move up to maybe potentially take a guy too. But remember, they drafted 2 guys this year in the draft, and so I mean, I don't know. I mean, clearly Shedeur Sanders is probably not the guy there. They're going to have some stuff moving forward, so we'll see how it works out. But we got to move on from that. But we talked a little bit about some coaching vacancies, and so vacancies in Arizona, Atlanta, Cleveland, Vegas, the New York Giants, and Tennessee. Tony, what job do you think is the best job available right now in the NFL? If you're looking at if you're a potential head coach and you got 6 teams, what's one of these teams that you would say is the team that you would want to target to go for as your number 1 team that you want to go to?
I would say the Falcons, because of they have the offensive firepower already set up. Yep. The defense is coming along, and they can get more pieces throughout the draft. And they just, I mean, I would probably start Kirk Cousins moving forward just to give Penix some more time. I mean, I like Penix, but I feel like he wasn't ready for the moment when he got the start. But if you go in there with that quarterback play and the team that they have already, the running back, the running game, and then you got all these receivers.
Bijan Robinson, Pitts.
And then Pitts started coming on at the end of the season because he's in the contract year. So I feel like if they keep, I don't know if Pitt's going to stay there. That's the whole, I don't know. We don't know yet.
Yeah, he might command more money than they really want to pay him, because he's kind of been up and down. And, when these guys are in contract, I mean, he's supposed to be better than he was the last couple of years too, right? Yeah. And then the contract year, contract year, he shows up and shows out a little bit because he wants to get that money, right? Yeah, I'm probably saying, if you're going to go with the Atlanta Falcons, I would say the New York Giants. The New York Giants. So they're probably 1 and 2. Atlanta's probably 1 and 2. You can go back and forth with that. But boy, I mean, you've already got Jackson Dart. You've got Scatterboo there. You've got Neighbors that's going to recover. Neighbors and Scatterboo that were injured this year, they're going to recover and be back next year. Jackson Dart did show me enough to be the number one guy there. Just his decision making, his arm talent, his toughness. But we did talk about he's got to stay healthy. Him and Zayden Daniels in that NFC East. The best ability is availability, and him and Zayden Daniels got to learn. Hey, get yourself down when you make these plays because they're going to make some splash plays. And Jackson Dart's going to run through a brick wall the way he's kind of playing. And then that Giants defense. I mean, man, the Giants defense got some pieces over there, right? Man, they got pass rush. I mean, they put it on the Cowboys too, 34-17. And I know, some say, well, they got Dak out the game and they put Milton in the game and this and that. But no, the Giants was putting it on the Cowboys, last week. So I'm saying the Giants is a spotlight team. They've got a lot of good pieces in place. They've got a good fan base, but you're going to be in the spotlight and they're going to want to win fairly soon if you go to New York. And I'm not quite sure if Atlanta's patient either with their people.
Yeah, the Giants, I feel like Dart, we talked about this yesterday. And I feel like Dart, like having Dart at the quarterback spot, he just, like I told you, I watched him at Ole Miss and he got hurt a lot because he runs too much. And I feel like Scatterboo is going to be a bad influence on him because the way he runs, like the juggernaut, just running through people and with his head. Yep. But I feel like if he can get down or throw the ball away and stuff like that, he'll be he's going to be a great quarterback moving forward. But I have my number 3 will be the Cleveland Browns because of their defense.
Nah. I'm not going to Cleveland. Not with the same GM and the quarterback problems they got.
So I'm going.
I'm going to. If I'm a head coach looking for a job, I will go to Cleveland on one condition: is that I get to pick my quarterback, and that quarterback may or may not be on the Cleveland Browns. I don't think that I'm going there as a head coach and saying that I want any of these guys that you've already got here. I need to have the autonomy to be able to pick my guy, and it could be Shador. It could be Watson.
They said that they're going to give the coach autonomy to pick who they
want. Okay.
Like, they did say that, so that's why it's up in the air. That's why when you said earlier that came
because the defense. The defense is there. The defense is in place,
and the defense wants Schwartz at their head coach.
Yeah.
So just so you know that, but I feel like the people that are out there, like Mike McCarthy, Gruden, and other coaches, I feel like the defense wants Schwartz because it's been a consistency there with the defense. So they want to lead with that and just bring an offensive coordinator in and stuff like that to move forward.
Yeah, and if you're a head coach, I was just thinking about Atlanta. If you're a head coach and you're looking for a job out there and you're looking at the divisions, okay, how hard the divisions are. I mean, the Cardinals, they got 3 teams in the playoffs. That's a tough division to win in. I think Gannon, he got fired. I think he went 3-13, in his whole tenure there in his own division in the NFC West. So, if you're Atlanta, 8-9 wins the division. So now if you're a coach there in Atlanta, you're like, man, if I could win 10, 11 games, this division is mine for years to come because that division has consistently had very low wins to win the whole division. And this year was just outrageous. All teams are 8-9 with a losing record, and then they get into the playoffs. And so, the Raiders too, you got Tom Brady looking for a new coach again. Carroll kind of was a stopgap coach there in Vegas. And so I think that, the Raiders could be a attractive place to want to go. But boy, they don't really have a lot of pieces, I think, on offense. I think that people want to go to. Tennessee Titans, they got a lot of cap space. I think they got $113 million or some kind of crazy number in cap space in Tennessee. Plus, they got a new stadium in Tennessee also. They got a quarterback. So, I think that, when you're looking at these coaching vacancies, it's going to be interesting over the next couple of weeks of who goes where and how everything shakes out while the playoffs are actually happening. So I think, we're going to have a little fun with that.
Tennessee definitely need a receiver because they don't got nothing over there.
Oh, they have
they have Ridley, but that's about it.
Yeah, and so that there is a big deal too with the receiver piece. If you're looking at the coaching vacancies over there, and so we're gonna take a really quick break. We're gonna be back in 30 seconds, and then we'll start talking about Wildcard weekend. We'll see you on the other side. We are back, and welcome to the Chasing the Highlights podcast, and Happy New Year to everybody who's been watching us all these weeks here, and thank you for tuning in. We had somebody from Russia, we had someone from Indiana chiming in the comment section, so thank you very much. My name is Lonnie Washington. I'm here with my co-host Tony Robinson, and we're going to be talking now about the what's the games that are coming up here in Wildcard weekend, and we have some pretty good games actually coming up. If we're really looking at and trying to dial in a little bit of what the bracket is actually looking like in the playoff picture here. Let me pull this up for everyone here. And we're looking at the wild card weekend here. We've got some good matchups, starting on Saturday, January 10th. You got the starting at 4:30. The LA Rams going to the Carolina Panthers. And this is a dream scenario for the Rams. They wanted to go back and play Carolina. Carolina did beat them already this season, but boy, the playoffs are a different game here. And then you've got the Green Bay Packers going to playing the Bears in prime time there at 8:00 on Saturday. And then you have on Sunday, Buffalo Bills at the Jaguars. That's going to be a hell of a game. San Francisco at the Eagles. And then you've got the Chargers at the Patriots. And I know all my Patriots fans in New England are going to be hyped up for that game, the first playoff game in New England in like 5 years. And then you've got the Texans, the Texans going to play. This is an older state, but they're going to play the Steelers and Mike Tomlin. And that is going to be there's a crazy stat in that game that we'll start to talk about here. But yeah, Tony, how are you feeling about this, just the playoff weekend that you just saw there?
I'm just excited because I love football. Football is my favorite sport. So like during the playoffs is like where it like really gets serious, and like you see players play back, make the names for themselves and stuff like that. The playoffs is like I think of the season as just practice for the playoffs, just to get ready for the playoffs. Yep. And so I'm so excited to see this weekend starting Saturday with the wild card game. So can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting thing to watch these wild card games and everything. And so that brings us up to, first game. You have the Los Angeles Rams going to the Carolina Panthers. And I believe that this was a dream scenario. It's all about seeding, right? It's all about matchups when you start to get to this part of the season. And the matchup with the Rams and the Panthers, even though the Panthers did go to beat the Rams this year, I think in Charlotte, the Rams now get to go back there and flex their muscle, right? Their defense, and I know they had little injuries there with Kyron Williams and some of their running backs and stuff there too. You got Adams is coming back, probably for this game because he's been out the last 2 or 3 games with a hamstring injury. You got Puka Nacua and that defense there, the Rams. I think the Rams is going to win this game, and I'd be shocked if it's even close this time because the Rams I thought that they could easily be the number 1 seed in that division just because, I saw that. What do you think about this matchup? And I'm not even quite sure what the point spread is. It might be 10. I think it might be 9 or 10 points here for the Rams.
I feel like the Rams are going to run away with this game, even though I like the Panthers and what they've done this year. Coming up, everybody was writing them off and stuff like that. And they came out and balled out this year. The defense stepped up and everything. I got the Rams winning. It's going to be a close game, I think, because I feel like they playing on the road outside of the dome, but I don't think it gets really cold in Carolina. So that's the only, it doesn't really get that cold there. So, but I feel like the Rams got this easily. And I feel like Puka Nacua is going to be the key. But Tedero McMillan is going to show up too. I feel like it's going to be a back and forth with those two.
Yeah, I think we both agree on this game. It's just, boy, you have Matthew Stafford, who I think is going to win the MVP. I think he should win the MVP. He had 45 touchdown passes this year. And I think he should win the MVP just looking at his whole body of work and the schedule that he played in and playing in a tough division where he had to play twice the the 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks. And just looking at his body of work and what he's done at his age, I think it will be his first MVP if he does win MVP. And I think he should win the MVP.
Well, he has the experience, so that's what I'm going with in this game. He has the experience.
Well, coach too. So now you got the coaching experience too, is there too. So Packers at Bears. This one here is like everyone here is just kind of just can't wait for this matchup. The Packers at the Bears again. I mean, the way I'm thinking about this is that I think the Packers should have won both of the games that they played this year. Even a few weeks ago, the Bears came back with was like 5 minutes or so left in the game. They came back and scored 10 points. It got an onside kick, I believe, and then they just kind of went into overtime and won that game, going away on a beautiful pass. Basically, Williams threw the pass deep in the end zone for the touchdown, walking away, and the Bears won. The Bears are the cardiac kids, right? They're the cardiac kids. They've got 5 or 6 comeback wins this season, and the Packers. Jordan Love went out early in that last game, right? With a concussion, and remember Willis came in the game and actually almost pulled it off for the Packers. And so and remember that they've got a bunch of injuries there on the Packers side of the ball. And so they still almost pulled that game off in Chicago a few weeks ago. And so to go back to watch this game again is going to be awesome. And I know my brother and a bunch of my friends are Bears fans. This is going to be one of the most intriguing games of the whole thing. Even that little spat going back with the coaches, So I think this is going to be a great matchup. I think that I'm going to pick the Packers. Just Jordan Love coming back with a few weeks off, just his playoff experience that he's been able to go into Dallas and beat Dallas a few years ago, and the coaching staff and everything. I know Ben Johnson's been a great coach and that he's going to have that team ready to play at home. They're going to be fired up. But I just think that now you start the coaching and a lot of different things start to come into play. Playoff experience, coaching, and all those different things come into play when it comes into the playoffs. Because weather is not going to be an issue for any of these teams. They both play in cold weather. What do you think? It's going to be good.
Well, going back to the cardiac kids thing, I don't know if you know that the Browns were deemed that back in the 90s because they came back a lot.
They haven't done anything. They haven't done anything in 40 years with it. I mean, I don't know.
But I got the Bears in this one, and only because they're at home. I feel like the Bears are going to come out and because it's the playoff game, I feel like their offense is going to show up and the defense is going to show up. They will get some turnovers. But
big on
it's hard to go against those Packers. It's hard, but
they live, and they live off the turnovers. They're the number one team in takeaways this year. The Bears are, and their team is only ranked maybe 25th or 26th in defense, total defense, but they've number one in takeaways. If they don't live off of takeaways, in other words, if Green Bay don't turn the ball over, I think the Packers win this game.
But but they just and Packers on defense, they picked up Diggs at the corner position.
Yep.
So I don't know how that's going to play a factor either because you're putting him with his boy from Dallas again. So I don't know.
But remember, Diggs is he's ready to play. He's plug and play right now.
Yeah.
I mean, he was playing for the Cowboys, up until he had a dispute with the team. He wanted to stay in Washington for the holidays when they played the Commanders, and they denied Diggs to stay in D.C. where his family is for the holidays. And Diggs was pissed off and said, "Screw you guys! I'm staying here anyway. Why am I going to get on a plane and go back to Dallas just to come back to D.C.?" And so they were just being horrible with him. So they released him. And so Diggs now is on the Packers. I think he's going to improve that defense on the back end. Because now, he's got confidence. He wants to do well and play. And remember, just 2 or 3 years ago, before the knee injury, I mean, he led the league in interceptions.
So that change, that's kind of tough in my decision now. But I feel like the running game for the Bears is going to have to show it because the Packers they give up a lot of. I mean, not a lot of rushing yards, but they that's their weak spot. stopping the run. They can stop passing or whatever, but I feel like they're gonna run the ball right at them. I mean, that's the only thing I could see them winning the game off of and stuff like that. So
yeah, I got you, Road.
bear down.
Road 9056, bear down, man. Bear down. I mean, hey, I would pick the Bears, but man, I don't feel good about it because they barely won with the backup quarterback Willis in the game a few weeks ago, and it took the miracle for them to win that game. But they didn't have Jordan Love in the game, and they were probably throwing some body blows at Jordan Love too before he actually got hurt. So I will give the Bears that. Jordan Love wasn't playing well in that game anyway before he went out, and so I mean, bear down. I got you. I hear you on that. Yep. So let's see. We're going to go to a different game here. What's next on my board? Oh, yeah. Bills at the Jaguars. Now, that's going to be a good one, too. The Bills at the Jaguars. And so now, you're talking about the Jaguars who they don't give up any rushing yards. Their rushing defense is very, very good. You got Trevor Lawrence that's playing like the best football that he's ever played in his whole 5-year career now. And you've got the Bills, and you've got Josh Allen with the cape on, right? We talked about that. He does not have his kryptonite in the playoffs this year. Josh Allen does not have Joe Burrow. He does not have Lamar Jackson, and he does not have who else? Mahomes. Okay, so now if this is probably the best opportunity that Allen and the Buffalo Bills have in the playoffs. Unfortunately, you got a really good Jaguars team. You got a really good Texans team on defense over there. And if you beat the Jaguars, I think you're kind of on your way at that point to set yourself up to probably go to New England. And then you might can beat the Patriots because you beat them just a few weeks ago, in a comeback dramatic win. So I'm going to pick the Buffalo Bills, okay, even though the weather's not going to be a factor. It's going to be 75 degrees in Jacksonville, and so weather's not going to be a factor at all. And so I think the Buffalo Bills are going to get after the Jaguars and probably pull this one out late in the fourth quarter.
I feel like Trevor Lawrence is going to be his new kryptonite. He has a squad around him. They picked up some nice pieces they put around him, and I feel like the Bills, if they can't stop the running game, this whole season they've been suspect in the running game. Mm-hmm. If they can't stop ETN, it's over. Like they're just gonna run it down their throat, and they're gonna pass the ball all over the place. And just to your point, the defense, they don't give up running yards. And what does Josh Allen like to do? He likes to run the ball. He doesn't really. Well, I feel like I picked some of their players on their team in fantasy and stuff like that, and I feel like he doesn't. I told you I'd never pick any Buffalo Bills players anymore because he always wants to put the cape on. So, and he's a player that I would never pick. I like Josh Allen as a player.
It's like that.
I like him as a player, but when it comes to fantasy, like picking other guys around him, he vultures points on the goal line, and he gets in his own way a lot. He gets in his own way a lot because he doesn't. It seems like he doesn't trust his teammates. When you got Cook in the backfield with the most rushing yards in the league, and they go away from him time to time, and I'm like, what's going on here? There's 2 games in a row that in fantasy, he had like only 5 points, and I'm like sitting here like, what's going on? They played against a terrible team. I'm like, what's going on here? But so I feel like Trevor Lawrence is going to win. The Jaguars going to win this game because they're playing at home. They got a lights out defense. They shutting all that down with Allen. So that's what I think.
Yeah, and the Bills defense have come on the last part of the season, probably like the last 6 or 7 games. The Bills defense has played a lot better, and Josh Allen, for some reason, when he gets going, then the defense starts to get going. The defense is kind of striving and bouncing off of Josh Allen. I think the Bills are going to. Hey,
I don't think he's going to get going.
Flip a coin, because I think this game is going to be real good, and. They're going to have to get Cook outside and give him some toss passes, some screen passes, and get him out of the backfield and move him around because Cook is a good receiver out of the backfield.
Yeah, if they can get Cook going, I could see to your point of why you would pick the Bills, but they've been like, it's been weird with Cook. Like they play him and then they just sit him down and they put the backup in. I'm like, what are we doing here? He's the leading rusher in the league, and like, and then Allen just tries to do everything by himself. Like, pass the ball, like just it's
Oh yeah. We're gonna move on, but these games just keep coming. These games, we got the best of the best, the cream of the crop now, right? We have the West against the NFC East Eagles. Eagles have not looked good at all. Going back to their last full game that they played. I mean, 49ers at the Eagles. Now, we can say a lot about the 49ers. I mean, the 49ers had a lot of injuries this year. They had Mac Jones come in when Brock Purdy went out, and he got some like four wins or 5 wins for them to keep them in the playoff hunt to begin with. And they've been dealing with a lot of injuries. And now they played a tough Seattle team. They lost 13-3 last weekend. But I mean, this is the Seattle Seahawks we're talking about, and I think the Seattle Seahawks can beat the Eagles too. Right, their defense travels. They can go on the road, but they don't have to go on the road. The Seattle Seahawks don't. But the 49ers at the Eagles, I'm inclined to pick the Eagles at home here. Okay, I'm going to pick the Eagles at home here because they're at home. They're the Super Bowl champions. They got some rest to their starters last week. They lost the Commanders, but who cares? Because Hurts got rest, and most of their starters got rest. But their line did get a little beat up. Okay, by the Commanders. So 49ers at the Eagles. I'm going to go with the Eagles, even though, man, in the second half of the game that they had a few weeks ago was 16 yards overall and no first downs. And they were bad in the second half of football games. And they've been bad the second half of football games this year, the Eagles have. But because of the cold weather, the 49ers coming across the country. But you better watch out because Kyle Shanahan he's a really good coach. Sirianni's a good coach too. This could be a nail biter. But I don't know if the weather is going to be favorable for the 49ers. Although it might be 70 degrees, and I heard the East Coast is having a heat wave though.
Yeah. You got to cut the head off of the snake for 49ers. You take CMC away, it's done. And I feel like the Eagles can do that. They have the defense to do it, to stop the run. If they can bottle him, just like last week who they play last week? They
played Seattle.
Yeah.
Seattle.
If you do the same thing, take away CMC, it's over. And I feel like Eagles got enough pieces to move them ahead because I mean,
but what about Kittle
have to start running the ball? Well, if you can't run the ball, then the passing game can go off. Then they know the passing is coming. Like they can do a whole bunch of things. But
CMC can catch the ball out the backfield. He's not just a running back. I mean, he can kill you everywhere.
Yeah, but they're slot corners. I mean, they do. Eagles have a nice defense. They just struggle, because the offense keeps putting them back on the field because they can't get anything going. But I feel like this is where you got to see these guys on the offense. Hurts, Barkley, Brown. Everybody's what can Brown do for you? They all got to come up in the playoffs. This is where everything, all the season stuff has to go out of the window. That's why I feel like the Eagles are going to win this game because they only got CMC. To me, Purdy is okay when he's playing against bad teams, but when they play against these juggernauts in defense, I feel like it's going to be a different game.
Man. Wow. It's going to be good. I mean, we're going to see Eagles, I think, are going to win. But I'm reluctantly picking the Eagles because, man, their second halves of some of these football games have just been the worst in the NFL history, by the way, in some of these second half of these football games. If they can put together a full, 60-minute football game, the Eagles can win this game. But if they play around, if they come out on fire, the Eagles come out on fire, get a 10-point lead, and then think they're going to cruise to a win at the end and shut down the 49ers, the whole second half is not going to happen.
They about to turn that light switch on. The light switch is about to be turned on.
Yeah, we'll see. But that crowd is going to be ready in Philadelphia, and you saw the fighting with the fans on the outside of the field. I've been in that stadium. I've been to the Link before in the football game on a Monday night with the Commanders, and that place is a wild place to play. Even now that the playoffs are here, it's going to be a good thing. So we're going to move on to the Chargers at the Patriots, right? Chargers at the Patriots. Now, this is going to be a really interesting game for me. We always talk about, Tony. We've talked about this all season, and we probably keep talking about this for years to come. When you have a dome team that now has to go to New England and play in the cold weather, it still might be mild. The weather still might be mild in New England. It might not be too cold. But now the Chargers are going out of the dome and they're going on the road and they're playing the Patriots. However, Harbaugh in the playoffs, and you start looking at the coaching matchups and just Harbaugh coming from college and him winning a national championship, the way he likes to play. He knows how to play the NFL style in the playoffs, being with the 49ers for those years that he had Kaepernick and going to the Super Bowl and things of that nature. He knows hell of a coach. And he's got pieces. He's got Herbert over there. He's got some running. The running back is good. And so he's got some pieces over there. And the Patriots got to be careful in this game because the Chargers do have a pretty good, solid defense too. Derwin James in the back end of that defense, and they're ball hawks too. This is going to be a really good game, and this game might be a little bit too close for comfort for the Patriots. I think the Patriots will end up winning, but I think it's not going to be a easy game for the Patriots.
Yeah, I got the Patriots in this one too, only because it's too many factors coming out of the dome. I've been saying this for years. Like, I feel like any team that comes out of the dome to go play outside, it kind of changes the game because you got the elements and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And playing in New England, it's like, always cold and like windy or whatever. But just like in Cleveland, I always got to throw my Cleveland plugs there. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I got the Patriots in this one. I feel like the defense they're gonna take something away, and what that is probably gonna be Herbert. They're gonna try to take Herbert away because they don't really have. I mean, they have a good, solid running game on the offensive side, but I feel like you got to cut the head off of the snake of Herbert. You got to find ways to take him away. I don't know if they spy him or like just contain him to keep him from running because he can run the ball too. Right. If the plays break down and stuff like that, so they may have to they may just take away the receiving core because the receiving core is really nice for the Chargers. Mm-hmm. So they probably got to drop back in the zone or whatever, how they're going to do it. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I think that I just think that the running game for the Chargers is going to give the Patriots some trouble. And I think this Herbert, just a big, strong body quarterback out there standing up in the pocket, throwing the ball down the field and making plays. I think this is I don't know if this is going to be a high scoring game, but New England Patriots can put points on the board with the way they like to run the ball. You got two teams. The first thing they're going to try to do is establish the run. If the Patriots think that they're going to come out and start passing the ball all over the yard on the Chargers, that's going to be their first mistake. But we know what Harbaugh is. Like Harbaugh, he's going to run the ball. He's going to try to establish the run. He's going to get Herbert out there making plays. And Herbert's a big guy. He can go out there and run just like Drake May. I think that they're similar type of quarterbacks. But we want to see Herbert now mature. Right, Herbert's been in the league now 5 years. You want to see how he does in the playoffs. You want to see how mature he is now, and is he ready for the moment? If he goes there and
no more excuses for him. I said no more excuses. They've been making excuses for him for so many years. So now this is, like you said, this is the time where he comes out and it does his thing. Yeah.
And people, there's still some questions about the Patriots. That everybody's talking about. Their schedule was favorable this year. They didn't beat a lot of teams with winning records, but the Chargers did. They played in a tougher division than the Patriots have. So don't think that the Patriots are going to go in there and knock the head off of the Chargers with Harbaugh as the coach and all the other things going on there in LA for the Chargers.
It's like when Brady was playing, how that division was, the same kind of similarities there.
Yes.
Because those teams started playing bad and then they took over, yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be good. I'm excited for this weekend's games. We're going to start, wrapping this up here for the Chasing the Highlights podcast with 2026, first of the 2026. But if you guys are fans of the NFL and your team's not in it, I think that you should be watching these games this weekend because, boy, if you're a football fan, it's something to watch. So, Tony, cleaning up things here, what do you think? What's your game of the week that you think that you want to watch the most here in the playoffs?
I think it's that Bears-Packers game.
Yeah, interesting game.
And I like the 49ers and Eagles too. That's the ones I'm definitely going to watch.
Yeah, well, the wife still knows it's not February yet. It's not the end of February yet. She still knows that I can't go to the outlets and all that stuff on Sundays. I'm still watching these games, and it's still football season. But she's counting the days until the Super Bowl because that's when she can start putting stuff on her honeydew list on Sundays, right? So
Go
for
get that
me,
go get that Fila, huh?
yeah, go yeah. Whatever. Fila outlet's gone now, so I'm doing Under Armour stuff now and
Oh, okay.
Puma and all these other different things now.
I think I got the memo.
Yeah, I don't know, man. We didn't talk about this, brother, so I don't know. But anyway, so thank everybody for watching. We'll see you next week with the Chasing the Highlights podcast. My name is Lonnie Washington, along with Tony Robinson. See you guys later. See you next week.
Come alive, 2 ex-players in the studio, ready to thrive. Friends and fans, uniting with the truth, sharing the passion, yeah, that's our proof. Chasing the highlights, where dreams come alive. 2 ex-players in the studio, ready to thrive. Friends and fans, uniting with the truth, sharing the passion, yeah, that's our proof. We treasure the legends, those who paved our way. In every single chapter, we're here to stay, breaking down plays.